Hello! So here we are with a video from the librarians, which means you're probably ready to talk about books and journals and APA format, right? Well, there's time for that later. We have something else we need to talk about first. Information literacy. It's universal to just about all education levels, subject areas, and even many parts of your everyday life, so it's important to us here at SMCC too. Let me explain. First, a definition. The American Library Association, which is the organization spearheading most of this information literacy or IL movement, has a definition that we'll call exhaustive, for lack of a better word. The core of their definition is right here in the first sentence, though. Information literacy is a set of abilities requiring individuals to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. That's actually pretty straightforward. IL is balancing the common sense of knowing when you need answers with the investigative skills to find and use that information. But let's try thinking about this a different way. Say this is you, and you need a new car. Do you just take the salesman's first recommendation and then march over to the bank and ask for a pile of money? Probably not. That's not how it works. Sorry. What's more likely is that you started with some manufacturer websites to build spec cars. You checked with publications you trust for reviews and recommendations. You went online to see who won which awards. You looked at resale value and you compared your own budget to your needs. You maybe thought about cars you used to own, cars your family and friends used to own. Really, you're not going to lay down new car money unless you know exactly what it's paying for. But maybe you're not a car person. Maybe you are a baker, and you're ready to tackle croissants. You're not going to take on laminated pastry blind. You might start by going online to compare some different recipes. You might layer in comparisons that the bloggers wrote after trying those recipes. You might swing through the library too and see what the books have to offer. Our cookbooks have advice and recipes you might not find online. You might also visit some media sources to see what the pros are up to across the pond. And you really might as well check with the queen. You know Julia was cooking more than just fish. She has to have a croissant recipe. Ultimately, you may look at all these things and decide, I'm going to call up Nana. She had a great recipe when I was a kid. Maybe she still has it? Okay, so what just happened? Information literacy just happened. In both of these examples, there was a hook or an information need. There was a question to answer. And just as a word of advice, try to make those questions as interesting as possible. It's so much easier to research when you actually care about the ideas you're looking for. Next, there were logical and methodical behaviors to find general info and specific info on the topics at hand. There was also advice from experts from a variety of sources, and that included media sources and face-to-face conversations. And finally, all this information-seeking behavior was held together with some common sense and some prior knowledge. So, how is this going to apply to your coursework? Pretty much the same way, really. Let's just focus on one of the American Library Association's 5 IL standards. Accesses needed information effectively and efficiently, and we'll see how Katie does. Here's a little backstory. Katie has just finished a chapter with her sociology class and has picked the topic of Dahl's pluralism thesis from that chapter. Her instructor has asked her to write a 3 to 4 page paper utilizing a minimum of 3 sources. Katie has defined her information need. 3 sources, Dahl's pluralism. Now, how is she going to find the info to fill the need effectively and efficiently? Well, sort of like looking at car specs or searching for recipes, she's going to start basic. Katie visits the library's website to get a comprehensive definition of pluralism from Credo Reference. She's also going to stop by the library's subject guide list, but not to visit the sociology page. Katie's going to employ a little common sense and go to the poli-sci page, since Dahl's thesis is a political one. Katie learns from this page that she can browse for helpful books in the J section of the library. So once she has her general needs met, Katie is going to look for specific info to patch up holes and provide some relevant examples. Another tab on the library website, Articles and Databases, will be perfect for this. Katie's going to call on a little prior knowledge from her English Comp and Psych classes and head for ProQuest first. Katie has a hunch that she'll get some more explanation and broad coverage from the ProQuest Social Science cluster, and she may get some very specific and timely examples from the ProQuest Newsstand cluster. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite like Katie thought it would. She's getting lots of examples of religious pluralism, but not the political pluralism her textbook chapter focused on. So now what? Is Katie supposed to use the sources she found and call them good enough? Nope. You don't buy a pickup truck when you had your heart set on a sports car, and you don't serve cupcakes and call them croissants. Katie's not going to settle either. She's going to regroup and try again by asking a librarian for some expert advice. Katie learns she may have better luck tweaking her keywords to focus on political pluralism. Another round in the databases, and it works. Katie's information needs are fully met. So hopefully, this is all starting to seem a little more doable and a lot more relevant. IELTS situations and skills are already everywhere around us. They're how we make sense of our modern information overload type of world. With a little practice and reflection, you'll be putting your IELTS skills into play academically in no time. If you'd like some more information, there's a handout posted on the library's Blackboard and websites that breaks down each of the 5 IELTS standards to manageable goals and behaviors. And when in doubt, you can always ask a librarian. It's what we're here for. Thanks.